Good day to you, my friends. I am here to read Misspell, my book of homophones and a little naughty princess. The only problem with reading this out loud is the red words in the books are the homophones, the words that you can imagine are spelled two different ways and have two different meanings. So as I read them, you try to imagine what the word is. I'll emphasize the word by speaking it a little bit louder. Misspell is a clever little princess. She turned Froggy into a prince and back. She turned mice and rabbits into butlers and maids. She turned blackbirds into gnomes and set them loose on the gardeners. This made Queen Spell a little angry. One morning, Miss Spell found a note in the garden. Dear Miss Spell, you should only use your magic for what is right. Signed Froggy, formerly known as Prince. This gave her a very clever idea. Miss Spell rode her tricycle through the village posting notes. Dear villagers, I'll grant one wish each week. Best letter wins. Royally yours, Miss Spell. P.S. Ask for more wishes and I'll turn you into a toad. Within a few days, Mailman Max pedaled up the hill to the castle and plopped a small bag onto her doorstep. She eagerly read, Dear Miss Spell, I wish for an ant farm to fill my whole backyard. Love, Bianca. Miss Spell was delighted. Ant farm, huh? The next morning, Bianca peered out her window and gasped. The following week, Mailman Max drove an overstuffed van up the hill. Miss Spell chose. Dear Miss Spell, my tow truck broke. I need a new one to pull people out of trouble. Signed, Baxter. She giggled. A tow truck, huh? The next morning, Baxter ran to his driveway. 1 week later, Mailman Max drove a dump truck to Miss Spell's castle. Miss Spell picked a letter, shrieking joyfully, This'll be fun! Dear Miss Spell, I'm tired of wigs. I wish for piles of hair upon my head. Sincerely, Stanley Snorts. She giggled, thinking of Stanley's head of hair. The next morning, Stanley stared at his head in the mirror. Soon after, Mailman Max drove a semi-truck up the hill to the castle. She searched, then squealed, Aha! Dear Miss Spell, I've got a secret. I'm a timid knight in a scary job. The king has ordered me to slay the forest dragon. Will you please slay him for me? Sincerely, Sir Shakes-a-Lot. Ho, 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 I'll slay that dragon. The next morning, surprised villagers walked into the town square. Oh my gosh, they slayed the dragon. Queen Spell was not amused when villagers told her what Miss Spell had been doing. It seemed the clever Miss Spell had been a very naughty little princess. A tow with tires? Ants making racket? The dragons causing a traffic jam? A rabbit on Snort's noggin? That very afternoon, Mailman Max showed Queen Spell his plan to stop the ruckus. Queen Spell was delighted. A few days later, Mailman Max rode his unicycle up the hill and delivered a single card to Miss Spell. Miss Spell, this must stop. Bianca meant aunt, not aunt. Baxter meant toe, not toe. Stanley wanted hair, not a hare. The village is at a total standstill. The giant sleigh is blocking traffic. Villagers want the knight to slay the dragon. Now, my wish, you be a deer and change everything back the way it was once upon a time. Exhaustedly yours, Mailman Max. Miss Spell giggled. Imagine me, a deer, and as she said it aloud, there was a sudden poof. Miss Spell looked down at her little deer hooves, feeling shocked that her spell had backfired. She sang sadly, Me, a deer, a female deer? Oh dear, what have I done? Maybe I'm not the cleverest little princess after all. I must go back and make it all right. Upon hearing her change of heart, Queen's Spell was filled with gladness, knowing Miss Spell had learned her lesson. She waved her magic wand. Miss Spell poofed back into a little princess again with a big job to do. Miss Spell pedaled her trike down the winding hill and rode around the village, writing her spells. And life went back to normal in the hamlet. I hope you enjoyed Miss Spell. David Sheet is a very talented illustrator who brought my words to life, as he always does in our books. I have had some requests to read Drinking Fountain Joe, which is out of print, but it's a book that David and I put together years ago, and it has been very popular in schools. And so maybe that'll be next up. Let me know what you think.